when I fought for my third world title and King of the Cage, the commission came and was like, hey, like uh King of the Cage is only gonna pay you $1 for this fight. And I was like, what do you mean? And then they were like, oh, they said like you owed them money on ticket money. I was like, what? No, I paid them all. I paid them all my money that I needed to, and it was just like they're like, well, this they said that this is what they were gonna pay you because they owed me like I think I was making $6,000 at the time, and as far as my purse, and I was like, what? And so I was like, they're like, well, what happens if I don't sign it? And they're like, well, you can't fight. And then I was like, well, I lose out on money anyway, and all the people are here watching me already, so I can't not fight because these people already paid their money for their tickets, like close family, friends, and like I used to sell over thousands of tickets, and so the deal we had made it was based off ticket sales and stuff like this, so they basically gypped me, and long story short, they gypped me money, and I had to go into my third, breaking a record in MMA history, and I had to go into that fight knowing I was only going to get paid $1 for it. It was super devastating too. But you just learn to work through it. I still had 5 fights with them, so that was only my third fight with them. So I was like, man, and that was another thing, like just swallowing the pill and saying, okay, just realize what the whole goal is here is to, keep getting better. It wasn't about the money at the time. Although I financially took a blow, it was like, just keep getting better at this point. I wrestled for free at the time. So it's a wrong way to look at it. Like, when I look back at it, I should have made sure everything was set, first and foremost, as far as business wise. But now I got that's because I didn't have a manager too. I was trying to do things on my own, but I wanted to learn the process of what it was like to be a promoter, what it was like to manage yourself, all these things, and you take a deeper appreciation for the people you have in your lives and design designate certain tasks to them to make sure that they're taken care of. Terry Treblecock, he's one of the best, uh, promoters and organizations you could have. It's just like it's been since the beginning. He started this sport with the UFC. Instead of the UFC, he ran King of the Cage around the same time, so he had the who's who fight for him. And it was just like when we sat down, we were talking to him because at this time it was super hard for me to get fights. Like they kept getting turned down, and that's part of the fight game. And Terry was a guy that knows how to influence people on taking a fight. So I never had to not worry about not having an opponent because I knew if he gave me this date, no matter what it cost for him or no matter what the deal was, he was going to have someone for me to fight instead of saying, oh, well, sorry, your guy didn't show up, or, because it happens all the time in the lower levels. But Terry always made sure I had a fight. And so, he told me, he said, if I invest into you, like, what can you do for me? And out of nowhere, I mean, Joe and I kind of had like the same like intuition as a trainer and fighter. Joe's actually once said it. He's like, I would put all my money down that Juan will win 4 different titles in your organization. And Terry's like, there's no way. And he was like, dude, I'm telling you. He's like, you could put anyone you want against him, and all your champs that you have now, and he'll beat all of them in all 4 different weight classes and defend every belt. And so he's like, all right. He's like, well, let's do 160 first against a UFC vet, Chris Tickle. And he was like, all right. So fought him, ended up stopping him in the second, and then that was the first, and then the next one was 145, and then the 135, or actually I fought Chris Tickle at 155, and then the 160 I forgot who I fought there, but yeah, I mean, and then I just defended them all, and then from there my contract was over, and I got to fight in Lithuania and stuff, so I had a great experience from them, even though we knew what we knew where we were going to get with fighting with King of the Cage, which was the experience and multiple fights and not worrying about having a fight. So, that was a plus side of fighting for Terry. He always kept his word no matter what. And it was always, I'll let you fight for all my titles and I'll get you 8 fights. And I was like, all right. And then, so I had, and it was a non-exclusive deal with them too. So if he couldn't give me a fight, and I found somewhere where someone would let me fight for the title, he okayed it, and then so it was awesome. I got I fought for 7 different titles and won them all. So it was cool. I liked them all, honestly. All of them were very comfortable. I mean, my trainer Sam Calavita, even right now, he like right now we're bulking up size and just to rebuild muscle, and then and making sure like pound for pound, no matter what weight I go, I'm as strong as I could be, you know. So right now, walking around 180, just pretty solid of eating proper food right now, dieting, having proper supplementation, and just everything. And then that way, once we start training more for a fight, I'll be all my muscles will be ready to go. That's what's important. Reach out to me on Instagram at JRChMMA, and Twitter, same thing. I think my Facebook is Juan Spaniard Archuleta, and thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Anytime you want to do it again, thanks for your fans for tuning in, and I'm excited. Hopefully, some fight news after all this clears up. Some fight news will be coming out.